Number 10, Liar Liar. Emma Duropoulos. Okay, this chick is badass right off the hop. She first appeared in Wonder Woman 759. She's the long-lost daughter of Maxwell Lord, and growing up, Emma's mother Susan kept the fact that her father was still alive from her. Now, she did find out eventually, but her mother insisted that he died of cancer, never even telling Emma his real name. And on top of that, Emma was growing into her powers, and her mother also ignored those. She didn't believe that she had powers until one day Emma showed her an up-close look at them. She made her mother collide with an oncoming truck, and sadly Emma was the only survivor. Next step was to break her father out of jail and earn his trust by, of course, helping him take down Wonder Woman. Emma used her psychic wave manipulation powers and combined them with Maxwell Lord's previous passion project, a weapon called Odysseus. So now Emma can cause any user to hallucinate. Her dad even makes fun of her for this, calling her a child, some sort of millennial superhero joke, I guess, I don't know. I mean, she almost blasted off a nuke in Arizona, so you better watch your mouth, Maxwell. Number 9, SYMMAR UTOPICA. First appearing in Superman issue 25 just last year in Mythological Part 1, the SYMMAR are an alien species who witnessed the destruction of Krypton. In fact, they saw young Kal-El zipping through space, and they discussed the possibility of intercepting. They're like, who is this kid? Where is he heading? Earth? What's on Earth? There's nothing there. Yeah, apparently we're too primitive to be part of their defense registrar, which is neat. I didn't know this was a roast. Awesome. So cut 2 years later, Clark has grown up. Now the SYMMAR, still watching from the cosmic bushes, they decide, you know what, they need to elect their own leader to go toe-to-toe with Superman if need be. Enter Eisno Alcor, a soldier for the SYMMAR. He showed promise, so they chose him to be their weapon against the Kryptonian. That was their original intention for the young soldier. But Superman was deemed a hero on Earth, so the SYMMAR thought, maybe we should just chill out. He's clearly doing a good job. We'll keep an eye on him though still, but for sure he's not a threat. So they decided, let's just send Eisno out to do other stuff regardless. Deal, sounds good. Eventually Eisno got back from a mission and there was this big celebration, a big party, but he finally asked his superior why he's the only hero on his home world. And President Dreddy finally explained that he was initially picked to fight Superman, but he turned out to be a protector, so we just used him instead for other missions in the galaxy. So Eisno is feeling confused. He's like, Superman, who is this guy? What? So he leaves the party, he's deep in thought, then all of a sudden, while he's busy being sad in the cornfield, all of his friends and crew are attacked back at the party. So he gets back, everybody's toast, and there's pics of Superman all around. So now he has a reason to attack Superman. You gotta love those super misunderstandings. Always a good one. Before we continue on with this list, you know the drill. If you want to go ahead and hit that like button, it helps us out quite a bit here at the studio, and then in turn, we can bring some nerdy news back into your eyes and soul. So hit that like button, and then we can bring you some good stuff. Thank you so much. Let's get back to the list. Number 8, Punchline. Alexis K entered DC Comics only a year ago, right after Harley Quinn finally left the Joker. In Harley's animated series, we see them part ways in the first episode. Birds of Prey as well, we get to focus on Harley's life post-Joker. It's been a long time coming, and fans are here for it. That's great, but now we also have an opening for Joker's sidekick. Okay, enter Alexis K. She made her comic debut in Batman Volume 3, issue 89. Originally a student at Snyder College, Alexa met the Joker for the first time on a field trip to a TV studio. It was pretty intense. Alexis was forced by the Joker to read a message to the citizens of Gotham. I mean, luckily Batman came in to save the day, but as far as field trips go, that's a lot of trauma to take home. Right? Alexis actually started a podcast after, not to, cope and talk and deal with the situation, but rather she believed the Joker was onto something. She was on board with all of his devious plans. She was diving in deep with all of his past crimes, and eventually she made her own outfit and started to poison the people of Gotham. So many of my friends listen to crime podcasts. I'm gonna start asking some questions.
Coming in at number 7, we've got Punchline. From Flatline to Punchline, we've got a fun little segment here. These two characters don't share much besides suffixes though. Punchline is something like a Harley Quinn stand-in, although there is more to her than that. After Joker and Harley had another one of their famous arguments, they split. This time it seemed pretty permanent, so Joker looked for a new second in command. In this search, he found Alexis K. She dons the requisite clown makeup, but isn't really one for jokes. Cold, cruel, and exacting, she is somewhat of a Harley inverse. In preparation for the Joker War, she oversaw the stealing of Batman's funds from offshore accounts. She beat up Harley Quinn and stabbed Catwoman, leaving her for dead. Holy moly, she really is all business.
Number 6, Frost King. Edwald Olafsson first entered comics in Justice League Endless Winter Chapter 1. He's a newer character, and as you could probably guess, he is a giant Frost Beast. I'm trying really hard not to say Frost Giant, clearly. His story begins thousands of years earlier back in the day when you fought with Black Adam, Viking Prince, and Swamp Thing. But he ended up getting buried for 1,000 years in the same glacier that later on became the Fortress of Solitude. Poor guy was just stuck on the walls while everybody was watching Game of Thrones. He's probably so bored. Eventually the fortress was destroyed and the Frost King was released, this time with a hint of Kryptonian energy, which is always fun.
Number 5. The LINEARVERSE. The LINEARVERSE is an alternate reality where the people age so slowly that it's almost safe to say they don't age at all. Batman began his career in 1939, with his youth lasting for decades instead of the normal aging of a human. In a way, this kind of represents how comic book characters seemingly never age and grow old, except in certain stories. By the late 20th century, the world had most of its superheroes. After this point though, things get a little whack. See, Earth became a dystopia ruled by the wealthy, which, I don't know, it seems a bit too real for me. And a great disaster was foreseen that actually came to pass. And the world became very similar to the one in the Earth AD story. Anthropomorphized animals had become the rulers of the planet, with humans devolving, save for Kamandi and a few others. Then, in the 25th century, humanity seemingly built a high-tech society, which saw the rise of Michael Carter, who is Booster Gold. In the 31st century, Earth became the base of the Legion of Superheroes, who were an interplanetary superhero team. This world is just a wild ride. Oh, and it first appeared in Generations Forge #1 in April of 2021.
Number 4. Sideways. Derek James, aka Sideways, came into comics back in his own series in 2018. He was in Gotham with his adoptive mother Helen when Challenger's Mountain returned from the dark multiverse. So the following earthquake split the two up, leaving Derek to fall into the ground right into a rift into the multiverse. 4 days passed and then Derek was finally able to return, but the question was, how? Derek obtained the ability to teleport through dimensions. He does so by creating tears in space-time. He can literally open the door to a new universe. After a month of having this power, his friend Ernestine made him a costume, cause, you know, of course. And in his first live stream as the hero Sideways, he took on the Tempest Fugonaut, who was upset because Derek was toying with space-time, which, I mean, it's more than fair.
Coming in at number 3, we've got Squeak. A member of the fascinating new group, the Unsanity Collective, Squeak is but a child. Following in the footsteps of Miracle Molly, she is a cybernetically enhanced human with a lot of spunk and gusto. This group is constantly targeted by the magistrate, who are looking to scapegoat some organizations in their mission to create a police state. Squeak makes for a fun sidekick and a very sympathetic character. She's just trying to make it in a world that is very cold and unkind. And when Peacekeeper 01 and the magistrate show up to take out Miracle Molly, she's caught in the crossfire. This interplay creates some very hard decisions for Batman and his allies, and leads the story in fascinating directions. While she's not the most powerful or influential character, a lot of the story moving forward hinges on this pink-haired individual.
Number 2. The Talon. William Cobb made his debut back in 2011 in Batman Volume 2, Issue 2. The Talon is an assassin for the Court of Owls who claims to have killed several Wayne family members, including Bruce Wayne's great-great-grandfather, Alan Wayne. The Court of Owls just may be the villains of the new Batman movie, so let's refresh our memory here. William Cobb began his early days juggling baseballs on the street just to get by, and after his father had passed away tragically while building a bridge for Cameron Kane, he would resort to these tricks to earn some money on the side and then sneak into his mother's purse as well. What a gem. But then one day somebody was watching his act and then he got pickpocketed. So William Cobb hucked one of his baseballs at him, saving the day, and the man offered him a job afterwards at a circus as a thank you. What a weird interaction. He started using knives instead of baseballs to, amp up the act, and eventually he met his love Amelia, back when he returned to Gotham, now a celebrity. Amelia's father didn't like the two of them in love, so he told William to get out of there, he told him to beat it. And Amelia at this time was also pregos. Yeah, so Cobb joined the Court of Owls, became one of the Talons, and then went back to Amelia's house to kidnap his son. And his son ended up becoming the Gray Son of Gotham, John Grayson's father. Whew, a lot of history. Thank you for listening. Boom. And finally, number 1, Astrid Arkham. Making her first appearance with Detective Comics issue 1000, Astrid Arkham, like her name hints, was born in Arkham Asylum. Both of her parents were doctors working there at the time, and her mother, Ingrid, was loved in the asylum, even by the Joker. She's like the cool cafeteria lady. Everyone loves her, you know? Her father, Jeremiah Arkham, was a descendant of Arkham Asylum's founder, Amadeus Arkham, so they were kind of a big deal there. When Ingrid was pregnant with Astrid, the timing couldn't have been worse, however, as a riot began in the prison. It was nice to see because at this point, all these supervillains were protecting Ingrid while she went into labor. I'm talking Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, the Joker, Solomon Grundy, Clayface, they were all keeping her safe. After she gave birth, a rogue Batarang slipped by, and that was sadly the last we saw of Ingrid. Now her father had to raise the child alone, meaning she had to be homeschooled in the asylum, meaning her only friends were inmates. But they felt like they owed her mother the kindness at least, so it wasn't a scary thing. She grew up hating Batman, of course, but that hatred grew even more once Astrid found footage of that fateful birthday. After that, she became a skilled fighter, started a cult called the Knights of the Sun, and went after the one who threw said cursed Batarang. Eventually, she called herself the Arkham Knight.
Number 10. Earth 3. The post-Flashpoint Earth 3 is similar to its pre-Flashpoint Earth, but way better. This Earth is the birthplace of evil. The mentality here isn't good versus evil, it's more like just evil. Strength is respected more than anything else, with the weak basically being annihilated. Instead of the Justice League, Earth 3 is home to the Crime Syndicate of America, whose members include Ultraman, Superwoman, Owlman, Power Ring, Johnny Quick, Sea King, The Outsider, Grid, and John Johns. Earth 3 was reintroduced in 2013 and has played a part in Darkseid War in 2015, Dark Knight's Death Metal in 2020, and in 2021 it was reborn again in the Infinite Frontier story. Like I said when we started, the DC universe is complicated, but what's remained the same since 2013 is that some of the coolest stories come out of Earth 3. Number 9. Earth 1. Earth 1 and the number 10 pick are probably the oldest of the Earths and universes on this list. Earth 1 first appeared in 2008 in its New 52 form, but it introduced a whole spectrum of readers into the DC universe, and sales for its comics were through the roof. So I believe it deserves a spot on the list. Here, superheroes are all younger, and they all just started their superhero careers. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Teen Titans, and Green Lantern all have graphic novels that take place on this Earth, and they are all just fresher takes on the almost overdone superhero origin stories. With the characters all being younger, it was also very easy for younger readers to relate to, and gave the characters conflicts that they wouldn't have faced as their prime Earth counterparts. Number 8. Injustice Universe. The Injustice Universe of Earth 22 is the universe in which the events of the Injustice video game and its related comics take place, and it first popped up in 2013. So here in the Injustice world, Superman went a little bonkers. After the Joker tricked Supes into killing both Lois Lane and her unborn child, plus unintentionally blowing up Metropolis, Superman murdered the Joker and eventually became a tyrannical ruler of Earth. The Batman of Injustice creates an insurgency, eventually enlisting the aid of another Earth, Earth 1 of this reality. With the alternate Earth's help, he overthrew Superman's regime and rebuilt the world. And that's all just part of the first game.
Number 7. Tommy Max. First appearing in Red Hood Outlaw issue 51 titled Minutes from Downtown Gotham, Tommy is a Batman rogue that doubles as a sneakerhead. That's right, fashion never felt so badass before. Thomas Measle makes his fortune selling shoe lines based off popular DC villains. His Poison Ivy line was just dazzling the ladies, of course, and no, he didn't make Killer Crocs either. I already checked, I thought of that too. He did, however, use Killer Croc as his own personal bodyguard after freeing him from jail. I think I'm a fan of Tommy because I too worked at a shoe store years back. I'm not nearly as cool as him though. I'm like, oh, 11 and a half? You got it, man. Be right back.
Number 6. Archive of Worlds. The Archive of Worlds isn't so much an alternate Earth, it's actually an artificial multiverse which contains pocket dimensions in the form of film reels. Now that's just kinda nuts on its own, but then take into account the fact that it was created by a mad god, Artur Io, who is the god of tales, who is jealous of the new god of tales, which is the internet. It's pretty nuts. He tried to steal the new god's soul and was instead encased in a Wayne Tech satellite where he created the Archive of Worlds. First appearing in Batman/Superman Volume 2, number 16 in 2021, the pocket dimensions include a world where Superman never came to be, as well as one where Batman never came to be, a world based on hell, a Western world, a world based on the life of Alana Strange, and so many other unnamed worlds. Auteur.io eventually was cured by Batman, and he instead became Observer.io, which is a lot nicer.
Coming in at number 5, we've got Peacekeeper 01. Let's quickly dive into this private army Simon Saint seems to be putting together for a second. There will be plenty of nameless, faceless automatons forcing the people of the city into line, but there's also got to be some extra special leaders, right? For that, there's Peacekeeper 01, one of the first sheriffs sent up by the magistrate. This one in particular is a wicked strong augmented human, one who Batman readers have indeed met before. Does the name Sean Mahoney ring a bell? He was once a guard at Arkham Asylum, and a brutal one at that. But for a while there was no way for him to get back to work. He was the one who discovered the dead body of Bane, killed by Joker gas, and also went back to rescue some nurses, losing limbs in the process. However, Simon Saint offered him a whole new life with some prosthetic limbs to boot. All he has to do is lead the all-powerful magistrate police force in their mission to totally take over the city. Who's gonna say no to an offer like that?
Number 4, the MULTIVERSE. Okay, I know we're going to talk about the Dark Multiverse, but we haven't talked about, and we need to talk about, the Metaverse. So basically, after Perpetua defeated the Justice League, she gave Prime Earth to the Batman Who Laughs. He and his Dark Knights defeated all the heroes and then reshaped the Earth into his vision. Look at this super cool map! He turned Gotham City into a whole continent super city that is guarded by Joker dragons. He made his home Castle Bat, which is another version of Batman who became a sentient Gotham. There is a hell on Earth called the Hellscape, ruled by Wonder Woman. Arkham Wasteland, ruled over by Harley Quinn. A Superman-powered new Apocalypse prison where all the remaining heroes are held. Megapocalypse with a Rainbow Valley where all the Lantern Rings lay because no one is worthy that exists anymore. This version of Earth Prime isn't exactly an alternate universe, but it definitely sounds like it should be. Hey nerds! Just wanted to say thanks for watching. It means a lot to us. If y'all don't mind smacking that like button, it would help us out. And it helps YouTube know we don't suck. Okay, on to the top 3.
Number 3, The Signal. Duke Thomas entered DC Comics not too recently, but back in 2013 in Batman Volume 2, Issue 21. He lost his parents at a young age, similar to Batman, but he lost his to the Joker. So he joined and then led the We Are Robin movement. That's when hundreds of teens took on the Robin mantle, sporting the capital R, and took to the streets while Batman was absent. Nice movement, awesome. Now Duke left this movement because he was eventually recruited to train under Batman himself and joined the fam. Not a bad upgrade. Now Duke, aka The Signal, is a member of the newly reformed Outsider teams being led by Black Lightning. His father was the villain Nomon, but before his birth, his mother Elaine ran for it to Gotham in order to get away from Nomon. She became a social worker and then married a man named Doug Thomas, who wasn't a supervillain. Nice. They both raised Duke in Gotham Narrows. Later on, when the Riddler was challenging the city, he asked all these citizens to bring forth a riddle that even he can't solve, and then only then will he turn the power back on in the city. So Duke was ready for this. He was smart, he was ready to go, but Batman respected that, but he also ended up just taking on the Riddler himself. Since 0 Year, Duke goes by the alias Lark simply because he doesn't want Batman to repeat the past failures with the Robin mantle. It's almost cursed, I don't blame him. He also fights crime during the day, which, yeah, crime happens during the day too. This guy's great, we definitely need him on the streets.
Number 2, Deceased. You know how Marvel has the Marvel Zombie storyline? Well, this is basically DC Zombies. That's a bit of an unfair comparison though. The two stories are very different, with the DC version ultimately being slightly more grounded and emotional. In this reality, Cyborg has been captured by Darkseid on Apocalypse, and it's revealed that the anti-life equation lives inside him. When Darkseid tries to take the equation, it is instead corrupted, causing Darkseid to explode Apocalypse. But not before Cyborg was sent to Earth. Once he arrives, he inadvertently infects the entire world with the anti-life equation, which has taken the form of a techno-organic virus. This turns millions of people and a lot of metahumans into zombies. The story follows the survivors as they try to quell the threat and eventually leave the Earth to settle a new home. I kind of prefer this to the Marvel Zombies story. I don't know, it's a survival story instead of a funny zombie story. I like it. Sue me. Please don't sue me. Number 1, Dark Multiverse. First appearing in Dark Knight's Metal #1 in 2017, the Dark Multiverse is basically the shadow version of the regular DC universe that resides underneath the primary one. So there are negative versions of the 52 Earths of the regular multiverse, but it was also originally the World Forge, meaning it has so many more worlds. For example, there are worlds born from sentient life's hopes and fears. Honestly, each world here could take up a point on this list, but it feels like that's cheating a little. The World Forger was the master of this domain and created the great dragon, Barbados, to destroy unstable realities that couldn't join the orrery of worlds. Barbados, manipulated by Perpetua, rebelled and defeated the World Forger, creating the Dark Multiverse. A lot more happens after that, but I can't cover that in a 1-minute segment, so Dark Knight's Metal is an amazing story and it deserves your reading.
Coming in at number 10, we've got Vengeance. Bane has been a mainstay in the Batman universe for years. Making many appearances in plenty of different forms, this super strong mask-wearing baddie is widely credited with being the only villain to properly break Batman, both physically and mentally. That's a tall order, especially considering how tough Batman usually is in both these categories. Whether we're looking at Tom Hardy's portrayal or maybe the Bane in Infinite Crisis, he uses his superior intelligence, willpower, and brute strength to bring his plans to fruition. So, of course, his offspring would be similarly powerful, with plenty to offer the stories of Arkham. Enter Vengeance, Bane's wiry, wildly powerful daughter. Appearing first in The Joker #2, she appears to be looking to kill the clown prince of crime after a heinous attack that came to be known as the A-Day Joker gas attack. This chemical killing spree took out all sorts of folks in Arkham Asylum, and the friends and family of these famous villains were none too happy. Vengeance, living up to her name, has decided that she will be the one to exact revenge upon Joker, and heads out to find him. Just as strong as her father in pretty much all capacities, there isn't much that would stop her from completing her mission. In fact, she single-handedly wipes out an armed personal army while hunting for the green-haired menace. There is one little thing though. Joker claims he didn't pull off the gas attack. Chilling in Belize, Joker is unsure who would do such a thing, but says it definitely wasn't him. So this progeny of Bane, also apparently born in a lab, fueled by rage and powerful muscles, is on a bit of a wild goose chase. Even if she kills the Joker, she won't have the revenge she imagined. Plus, there's always the other mission of finding out who actually managed to gas Arkham Asylum. Vengeance is a straightforward and deadly force and should be a lot of fun to follow as things develop. Coming in number 9, we've got CLOWNHUNTER. Another fanatical Joker hater, CLOWNHUNTER gets his name from his goal. Pretty straightforward, eh? He wants Joker dead, and he wants to ensure this is done by his hands. CLOWNHUNTER, aka Baofam. He hunts clowns. Why though? What would drive a young man to committing his life to killing a clown? Sure, Joker's done plenty of heinous things in his lifetime, but that's almost a given of living in Arkham City. Wouldn't most people like to figure out a way to live productive lives, even with the chaos training in the background? Well, things are personal when it comes to CLOWNHUNTER and his supposed prey. As a child, he witnessed Joker kill his parents in cold blood and then run off cackling into the night, as Joker tends to do, of course. With this traumatic experience, CLOWNHUNTER was committed to a life of hating Joker. He also came to believe that Batman simply wasn't doing enough to deal with this moron society. Joker kept killing innocent people and was always allowed to live afterwards. Even if he were to be imprisoned, restrained, or otherwise removed from society, he'd make his return in one way or another. So CLOWNHUNTER decided that Joker needed to die. Batman was too lax with him, and so were the rest of the crime fighters in Arkham. Armed with a batarang-tipped baseball bat, CLOWNHUNTER killed something like a dozen of Joker's henchmen and even planned on killing Harley Quinn. Somehow, someway, Batman sniffs this out and attempts to reason with the kid. This doesn't stop another vigilante getting involved and encouraging CLOWNHUNTER down the path of violence though. Coming in at number 8, we've got FLATLINE. Another character named after what they do, FLATLINE will stop your heart from beating. She'll do it in a particularly gruesome way, too. Known for ripping people's hearts out barehanded, she's a legendary martial artist with a brutal streak. Hell, she even did it to Robin during what can only be described as a Mortal Kombat tournament. Interestingly enough, the rules of the tournament allowed Robin to be resurrected, but that's neither here nor there. After training all her life under some of the world's finest martial artists, she was ready to bring her own story. Heading to the island to win a tournament that was said to grant immortality, she stood head and shoulders above the rest of the combatants. Appearing as an ashen-skinned woman with an affinity for black skeleton-themed clothing, she doesn't seem like the type to mercilessly kill countless top-tier fighters, but she does it anyway and does so with a smile.
Number 7. The 53rd World. The 53rd World, named by the smart primates who live there, was a world unknown to the rest of the multiverse. It's set in a near future where presumably the world is inhabited by super smart apes, like Planet of the Apes style. Oh, and also, immortality was achieved in 2067, meaning that yes, all these ultra smart apes are immortal. We know that there exists alternate ape versions of Superman, Batman, the Atom, and Aquaman. The existence of this Earth was first revealed in 2018's Dark Knight's Rising: The Wild Hunt, when Detective Chimp was beginning to lose his intelligence. The ape heroes show up, recruited by Raven, Cyborg, and the Flash to help with the dark multiverse, saying they were here to help. Obviously. Detective Chimp, accompanied by the apes of the 53rd Earth, plus Flash, Cyborg, and Raven, go to help Earth Zero's Justice League fight the dark multiverse forces. That's kind of all we know about the 53rd Earth. I want more super apes!
Coming in at number 6, we've got Simon Saint. What's a good story without an esoteric billionaire calling the shots from the shadows? There's always room for more well-moneyed lunatics causing doom and gloom, especially in the era we're all living in. I'm sure there's no real-world comparisons to be made here. No way. Simon Saint is a man with a plan, and that plan is to introduce a fascist police force to the city that he would have total control over. Sure, he's trying to sell it as a partnership to Mayor Nakano, but we all know who the real leader would be. Saint Industries wants to kickstart this militaristic police force known as the Magistrate, complete with robotic officers known as peacekeepers and remote drones to keep people in line. All under the guise of making sure everyone is safe, right? To really sell this idea to the mayor and the public, Saint secretly employs some folks to put fear into the heart of every civilian. A very familiar scaremonger shows up to help too, which is never a good sign.
Number 5, the designer. So we mentioned that sneakerhead of Gotham, so it's only fair to bring up this class act next. Appearing for the first time in Batman Volume 3, Issue 89 in April 2020, the designer was this masked criminal who at the age of 60 had earned himself legendary status for being able to plan and execute so many master plans. He was killing it. He also created this chemical that allowed him to use corpses to move around and carry out said master plans. He's got zombie backup, that's cool, I guess. Early on in Batman's career, the designer would watch Batman take down all these rogues, so he approached them. He talked to them all. He talked to Catwoman, the Joker, Penguin, and the Riddler. They all met at his hideout just outside of Gotham City, and he offered them way better plans. And when it came down to the Joker's desires, well, the Joker wanted his job. He wanted to take his place. So the designer ordered that undead army to attack, but Joker shot him and supposedly ended his life. Now cut to Batman Volume 3, Issue 85, the designer returns, only Batman finds out that it's just, you guessed it, a corpse being controlled by the Joker. Everyone's using corpses to fight battles, it's gross. Imagine the smell.
Coming in at number 4, we've got the Gardener. Much more dangerous than her name suggests, this green-thumbed villain has roots deep within Batman's lore. Introduced as an eco-terrorist who will do anything to keep the world as green as possible. If doing so requires the use of weird plant-animal hybrids and destructive attacks upon important areas, so be it. Interestingly enough, this villain has connections to another plant-based Batman rival. You guessed it, the Gardener has a history with poison ivy. In fact, the two dated in college. Imagine that. These photosynthesis enthusiasts have quite a lot in common. Add in the fact that the Gardener knows about Poison Ivy's transformation that will make her into Queen Ivy, and you've got a very interesting new addition.
Number 3. Green Lantern Legacy. Green Lantern Legacy is a one-shot comic from 2020, in which we are given an alternate Earth where the Green Lanterns of Earth were John Stewart, who we already know, and a Vietnamese woman named Kim Tran. Now, Kim Tran, like most of the Green Lanterns, was an awesome hero who never let evil escape her sight, in brightest day or blackest night. She was a pillar for her community too, helping people from all walks of life. And she even helped other Vietnamese immigrants feel at home in this new city. The comic, though, really follows Tai Pham, who is Kim Tran's grandson, as he takes up the mantle of Green Lantern from his grandmother, becoming one of the youngest Green Lanterns at 12 years old. We see him struggle with racism, bullies, his own fears, and against the Yellow Lantern. It's a great story, and it gives some well-needed Vietnamese representation to the DC landscape. Give it a read!
Coming in at number 2, we've got Miracle Molly. Searching for a way to live life beyond the means of what most would consider sane, this green-haired so-called criminal founded the Unsanity Collective. A group meant to allow civilians to live their lives without the weight of their past trauma, it develops technology that flies in the face of the magistrate. Molly is the brains behind the operation, building and distributing gadgets and tools to all of her followers. Although their goals are noble, they go about their plans in ways deemed unacceptable by the powers that be, which causes a whole lot of problems, as you might imagine. However, Batman infiltrates the collective to find out more and discovers how genuine and committed Miracle Molly is. Although their actions are criminal, their hearts are in the right place. The magistrate and in turn peacekeepers don't like this. An enemy of an enemy becomes a friend, and Batman joins the fight in an unpredictable way thanks to the influence of Miracle Molly. And finally at number 1 we've got Ghostmaker. Oh damn. This vigilante trained with pretty much all of these same people Batman trained with and rivaled the Cape Crusader all throughout his life. There is one major difference, however. Ghostmaker is willing to kill. In fact, sometimes Ghostmaker believes that killing is sort of an art form while fighting crime. He's all about the art when it comes to dealing with criminal elements, which is a very interesting way to go about it. His values clash with the Bat's quite often, spurring on many fights between the two. However, when a bigger threat emerges, it becomes clear that the two vigilantes must team up or be defeated.